You ready? You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, days and gays. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter. Hope you're having a great night, day, weekend, whenever you're checking this out. I'm really excited about my interview today. You know my guest from Dynasty, Strangerland, and her new film that we're going to talk about today, To Kill a Wolf. Maddison Brown. Maddison, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Waking up, but but I'm doing well. I really appreciate you making the time. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna start with a little bit of a weird question, but if you'll humor me, I don't tend to do too much research on my guests because I do like to treat it like a conversation. But in the little bit of research I did about you, I saw that you moved to New York when you were 16 to model, which I think is so wild. Can you please talk to me about like that process, considering that you were born in Australia? Like, can you talk to me about all that?
Well, I started acting when I was 5. And I had like a kids acting agent. And I had a really big growth spurt when I was like 10, 11 years old. And all of a sudden I was, 5'9". And I was too tall to like play kid actor roles because I looked older than I
Wow.
was because I was so much taller than everyone else. And my acting agent when I was a child said maybe she should try modeling. It'll be good for her confidence or whatever. So I entered, I guess, like a magazine model search. It was a big magazine in Australia at the time called Girlfriend Magazine, Girlfriend Model Search, and ended up started modeling when I was 13 through that. And then yeah, when I was 16, I went to New York and I was working in New York, and I've been in the US pretty much ever since, for 11 years, on and off, like kind of being based there, going back and forth between Australia and the US. But yeah, it was a pretty wild thing to do, but it was also very much the norm at the time. This was 2013, and there were a lot of young teenage models. I don't know if there were a ton that were 16. That was kind of unusual, but there were a lot of
Yeah,
17, 18, 19-year olds. I was definitely like the baby to do it, but yeah, I'd been modeling for 3 years at that point, and I signed with a modeling agency in New York, and they wanted me to go over and start working in New York, so I did.
that's crazy. So making the jump to film, because I actually rewatched Strangerland on Monday, which I remember watching when it came out, and I thought you were amazing in that. One thing about your filmography, and I actually am excited to talk to you about this. Um, I watched some episodes of Dynasty, and I think you're so like very naturally charismatic and very naturally like funny on that show. Which is something that's so cool. But so many of these roles that you take seem to be so steeped in like intense drama that you're doing. Do you have a desire to want to go ahead and kind of move more comedically as you continue to evolve as an actress, or?
Look, Dynasty was an interesting
Mhm.
chapter. Um, I did not initially know that I was going to be on the show for as long as I was. Yeah, it ended up, I thought I was only going to be there for 3 months, and ended up being like a 4-year thing.
Oh wow, because yeah, that's like 6 seasons, right? Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And initially when I joined, you know, they wanted like a funny Australian, and that's the criteria. Like you got your girl. But
Yeah.
I think I don't know. I love drama. I love To Kill a Wolf was such a great working experience, and these really are the roles that I love. But Dynasty was fun at the same time. It was fun. It was fun to play with comedy. I don't think that's a side people would probably have seen of me had I never done that show. And I really made Kirby like a very, very overly exaggerated version of myself, which was fun. It was fun, and it was pretty easy. I just feel like I played this, crazy caricature version of me. Um and it was pretty chill. Like I don't know, I think you need both. I think you know, because To Kill a Wolf was really challenging. You know, I got to the end of the shoot being very emotionally drained.
Yeah.
And I never felt like that on Dynasty. You know, I had the zoomies a lot of the time on set. So I think it's important to have both. I enjoy comedy. I would love to have the opportunity to do more of that, more fun, more light. But I really enjoy as well like the emotional catharsis of playing these characters that are going through, you know, difficult experiences.
So let's talk about Danny because without spoiling anything, there are a couple moments. There's one moment in particular where you get out of a truck for a reason. And I actually had to pause it because I was getting like genuinely like I started crying because I was mad at you for making me cry, and I was mad at the reason you're crying, and I was just like, God damn it, all around. Um, is there a certain mindset or a certain ritual that you have to get into the mindset to do certain intense scenes like that?
Yeah, I think I didn't know if I could do it because I did come off 4 years, over 4 years on Dynasty, where, you know, I think my character had like one um or two like heavy emotional scenes in like my whole time on the show. And I don't even think one of them I did a good job. So I was really scared that I wouldn't pull this off. And I think I was just kind of quiet. And for the first couple of weeks, I didn't really let anyone see my real personality. I'm not really a method actor, but I was like, those method actors might be onto something because it is a
Hmm.
lot easier to like tap in when I'm such a I have such ADHD, you know, like I'm just always like ah, like social
Same,
and,
same.
you know, like fun and light and that's how I am. I enjoy, you know, just and I couldn't do that with this because I was like I just feel like I'm scared that if I'm there, it's going to be really hard to get here. So I kind of kept myself in the middle and I really didn't let anyone see me until we got toward the end. Because I also didn't want anyone to see me acting, if that makes sense. And I was like, if they don't
Yeah.
know me that well, they won't know that I'm acting. So I kept myself kind of low key. And I think I just kept to myself in as much as I could without, you know, coming off like I hated everyone and hated being there. Um, so yeah, for me with this film, I guess I had a process of just kind of trying not to talk too much because I wanted to stay in the zone of you know being able to tap into these really emotional things that I was using as substitution for what my character was going through.
Was there a certain scene in particular that was the most difficult to shoot that you're kind of like, shit, this might be a little much or
Um, no, there was the scene that was cut that was like really draining. That was like the most draining.
Ooh,
And
what was that? What was that?
it was cut just for story. It was like where
Um,
I leave the house for a scene. It was like this whole thing that just didn't end up working in the final cut, which I agree with Kelsey was the right decision. But I think that one I was the most nervous about, and I was scared of like, did I do too much? Did I not do enough? But you know, I guess we'll never know.
So talk to me about working with Kelsey, because one of the things that I love about what your performance in particular does is so much of the dialogue is so heavy and so much of the acting is just with your facial expressions. And I always kind of look for that. And there's just one moment where you just like look off center just a bit and your lip starts quivering. And I was just like, man, I just like I felt that, but the way that you like held that and then kind of ramped up, I went, okay, she's really nailing this. Talk to me about working with Kelsey as a director, and like, how much did she give you like more freedom to kind of improv or
I mean, Ivan is an improv guy. I'm not an improv girly. I think I'm too scared to get it wrong.
fair?
I go off what's on the page. Especially with something like this. I think Kelsey and I just really connected, and I think what she did was build a great sense of trust between us that, you know, we could talk to each other and yeah, she was very collaborative and very open and communicative and just, you know, there was just a lot of trust, and I think there needs to be when you're dealing with stories like this and characters that are going through this. And that made me feel safe enough to go to these places. So that Kelsey was fantastic in that sense.
Do you have a difference in your ritual between doing a movie that's intense like this and doing a model shoot? Like, do you have a ritual
Of
or
course. Oh
anything?
my God. Modeling is like you just show up on time. Like that's all you do, honestly. I mean, I don't want to take like it's great. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to take away from anyone. But compared to being an actor, like showing up, needing to be prepped, it's weeks and weeks of research and notes and being off book and reading the script a million times. It's a whole different level of prep.
Okay, so a couple more questions for you. I feel like so I watched this interview that you did talking about, being homesick and the transition out here. If I were to go to Australia, what are three things that I would need to do on there?
You need to go to Sydney,
Okay.
you need to go to Melbourne,
Okay.
and you need to go to the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay. All right. I will make notes because I haven't gone out of the country yet, and I'm like, I was like Australia might be fun.
Australia is
So
fantastic. Australia is an amazing, amazing country. Seriously, one of the best places in the world.
okay, I will add it to the list. Um, Last question I have here for you. Without spoiling anything, when I got to the end of this movie, I definitely feel like I'd gone through a journey, and again, I think you more than carry your weight in this. Again, I wish we could talk more about it, but I want audiences to discover it themselves. But I think you really earn your stripes in this movie. Is there a certain message or anything that you want the audience to take away when they get to the end of this film and the credits roll?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Kelsey really did reinvent Little Red Riding Hood, where the wolf isn't always in wolf's clothing. It's not always the scary stranger that we think it's going to be. Sometimes the wolf is our friend or our family member or your friend that you think is not capable of doing something like that. And they are, and they have. And I think it's really important I don't think people lie about being victimized in this way as much as some people would like us to think. And I think it's really important when these people speak about what's happened to them to listen to them and listen to them fairly and give them that support because it's happens more than you think. And I really am of the belief and the opinion that people just really, really do not lie about this stuff. I really don't think that happens.
Well said. One thing I want to really thank you for is being willing to take these chances on these movies that are so intense. Because like I said, rewatching you and stuff, it was like, wow, she's like this is not light subject material that you're dealing with, and yet you're knocking it out of the park. So I can't wait to see what you do moving forward. I thought you were great in this. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today, man. So
You.
I appreciate you. If you could please tell people where they can see the film, if where they can follow you on socials before I let you go.
I don't even know where people can see the film yet. Hopefully that's coming soon. But my Instagram is at Maddison Brown with two D's in the Madison. I'm sure I'll post it when I know.
All right, I'll hold you to that. Madison, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and yeah, I can't wait for people to see this. Watch it, people. Madison's great in this. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You as well. You take care.